Hi, this is Jerry Davison. When you set up your EMI option scheme, you need to consider when the employees can actually buy their shares. You do actually have a lot of flexibility. Let me just remind you first of the jargon. When you initially set the scheme up and award the options, that is granting the options. The date when the actual shares can be bought is when the options are vested. Not all of the options have to vest at the same time. When the options have vested and the employee buys the shares, that is known as exercising the options because the person is exercising their legal right to buy the shares. Essentially, there are two types of vesting structure for an EMI scheme: time-based vesting or exit-only vesting. A simple example. Under a time-based scheme, you might grant 100 options today with an arrangement that 50 options vest after 2 years and the other 50 vest after 3 years. This ties an employee in for at least 3 years before they can buy all their shares. Under an exit-only scheme, on the other hand, an option holder cannot buy the shares until the company is sold. This is often called an exit event. It might be a trade sale to another company, a management buyout, or even a stock market flotation. It usually involves a change of control of the company from one owner to another. In practice, the employees will exercise their options and buy their shares on the day the company is sold, on the day the sale is completed, and then sell their shares to the buyer alongside the rest of the shareholders. About 2/3 of our EMI clients use an exit-only scheme structure, and such schemes are particularly common in high-tech companies, fast-growing companies, and early-stage companies. Exit-only is good if you want your people focused very much on building value towards a company sale with no distractions. Everyone knows what the goal is. A time-based scheme where the options vest over a number of years may be good for a very senior employee, or perhaps someone who is almost like a co-founder of the company, perhaps a very early employee. Let's say a business founder still owns 100% of the shares, but wants to give his or her colleague 25% of the shares. But the founder also wants to make sure that the colleague stays with the company for some time yet, so decides that the options vest over the next 4 years. Another common use of time-based options is where the company is looking at dividend income for shareholders rather than selling the company. An issue to consider with time-based schemes is whether the company may need to put a different share class in place. For example, a B ordinary share class that could be non-voting shares, and which gives the board the ability to buy back any shares held by employees who then leave the company. We can arrange this as part of our service if required. Both exit-only and time-based schemes can be combined with performance targets. When you set up an EMI scheme, the agreement will state the maximum number of options that are granted to someone. The actual number ultimately exercised can be lower than that. So you can set performance criteria which will then determine the actual number of shares that vest when the exit event is achieved or over a period under a time-based scheme. I have to say that performance targets must be designed very carefully, or over time they can become out of date, and then this could render the options unattractive, and that's the opposite of what was intended. Thanks.